So the problem is in Africa and other parts of the world, the virus has mutated and is spreading and outpacing vaccinations. Have a look. Only a few countries are making significant progress of fully vaccination. There are increasing concerns the Delta variant will become the dominant strain, and we know it's more contagious and more deadly, and those parts of the world that perhaps need to be most ready are not. Dr. Saad Omer directs the Yale Institute for Global Health. He joins me from Connecticut. Okay, Doctor, now let's just take this bit by bit, if we may, so we shed light. Firstly, we know all the major vaccines do operate against the Delta vaccine when you've had 2 jabs. The problem here seems to be there's not enough vaccines in the developing world.
Absolutely. There have been a lot of promises, there are plans, but a lot of these plans manifest, and they're projected to manifest in terms of actual doses by late 2021 and early 2022. We need to act now with the fierce urgency of now, and there are doses needed now. So there have been some donations, some increase in supply, but not nearly enough to really tamp down this outbreak, especially where it's needed.
You see, we can see in the United Kingdom where they had 20,000 new cases, the majority of which are Delta variant, but the number of deaths and hospitalizations has barely budged because of the rate of vaccination. That seems to be the key.
Yeah, not only the rate of vaccination, but who received the vaccines first. So several scientists and other policymakers, I had the privilege of being part of that, devised the mortality first strategy at various levels. So the idea was to vaccinate those who are at the highest risk of death and severe disease, resulting in hospitalization and ICU admission. And so the countries that started with that and had a laser-like focus on increasing coverage, prioritizing them and increasing coverage of these vaccines in those high-risk groups are seeing this so-called decoupling between the rates of infection and rates of death and hospitalization. And the reason I mention this, that there are a few other countries like India and Pakistan who have opened up vaccination to all adults and have been touting it as if it's a sign of progress. On the other hand, the unit probability of a high-risk person getting a vaccine and actually reducing the overall death count has gone down, especially when there are shortages of these vaccines. So it is important not only to increase the vaccination rate, but also to have a rational policy to vaccinate the high-risk people first.
So, Doctor, just for those people watching, our dear viewer, who's double jabbed by several weeks, so fully vaccinated, do they, and by that I mean me, self-interest first, do I need to be concerned that the Delta variant can get me?
So there are data for the mRNA vaccines, the AstraZeneca vaccine. The data are not available for every vaccine out there, but for most mainstream vaccines, you don't need to worry about severe consequences of the infection. The probability of you getting infection is higher, to be very honest, for the Delta variant, but it's not, the risk of severe disease and especially death is not substantially high, even with the Delta variant.
So if we go back, we're all sort of armchair experts now after 18 months of this. So I'm turning to you as a real expert to put me right. So the way it goes is the Delta variant expands and more people get it. There's a 3 to 5 week incubation to when you start seeing it in hospitals to when we start seeing deaths. That there is no way Africa can make any serious inroads to avoid the worst effects of Delta other than lockdowns. Is that the way it seems to you?
I think there will have to be some targeted non-pharmaceutical interventions scaled up. Unfortunately, and as you mentioned a little while ago, it has some economic cost. it was this time around that economic cost and even the human cost was avoidable to a large extent if we had made these vaccines available. I think we do know a little bit more about the virus than we did than last year. So you can be a little bit more targeted. For example, there can be more openness about outdoor activities and encouraging, including outdoor commercial activities. A lot of these bazaars and markets are outdoor. So that dampens the impact on economic activity. There could be better focus on ventilation, just opening windows in schools, etc. That can mitigate and you can prioritize certain groups. On top of that, you can absolutely encourage masking and scale up
Right.
mass distribution, etc. So there are other tools in the toolbox as well, in addition to more drastic measures.
All right. Doctor, we'll talk more. I fear we're going to need to talk a lot more as this comes on, and we'll be grateful for your wisdom and guidance. Thank you, sir.